welcome to the channel.
Aha, yes, welcome. This deep dive is, I think, really for you if you've ever felt just defeated by all the English vocabulary you're supposed to learn.
Absolutely. We're going to get right into it today, into the science and the strategy behind learning words. We're talking about how to learn new English words and, more importantly, how to get them to stick forever,
Yes.
not just for that one test you have next week.
That distinction is so important, actually, because vocabulary is the foundation of everything. Experts say without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed.
Right. Your grammar can be perfect, but if you don't have the words.
You can't say anything. Communication just stops. And to be comfortable, in speaking, you really need thousands of words.
And that's what feels so overwhelming, the number. Research says something like 5,000 to 7,000 words for speaking easily.
That's right, 5,000 to 7,000. And if you try to get there by just memorizing lists, well, you're going to burn out very quickly.
Okay, let's start there with that problem. Because I think anyone listening has been through this. I know I have.
Oh, yes, please share the war stories.
Well, I think my classic routine was, I'd get a huge list of words for a class test, maybe 50 words, maybe 100.
Just the words on their own.
Just the words. And I would spend the whole night before just cramming, repeating them over and over, trying to force them into my brain.
And you passed the test.
I did. Actually, I would get really good marks. But here's the thing that was so frustrating. A week later, if you asked me about those words,
all gone.
Completely gone. I couldn't use them. I might not even recognize them. And I think that's it's such a waste of effort,
Haha, it is. And that feeling is exactly what we want to fix. What you're describing, is the difference between what we call active and passive vocabulary.
Okay, yes. I think this is a really key idea.
So passive vocabulary is basically all the words you understand when you read them or hear them, like when you're listening to us now.
Right. So I know what it means when I see it.
Exactly. You can receive it, but you can't easily, pull it out of your own mind to use it in a sentence.
Got it. And active is the opposite, I assume.
Your active vocabulary is all the words you can actually use confidently, automatically, the words that just come to you when you're speaking.
So the words I was cramming for the test, they were only going into that passive box, and not even for long.
Exactly. They sit there for a little while, and then because you haven't really used them or connected with them, they just vanish. Our goal today is to show you how to move words from that passive box over to the active one.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's get into the practical steps. What's point one?
Point one, and this is the absolute foundation, is to learn words with sentences, not alone.
Which is the total opposite of what I was doing. I was just looking up single words.
And that's the trap. Learning a word in isolation makes it so hard to use later. You need the context. You should always learn the whole phrase, maybe 2 to 4 words long.
Can you give us an example? For example, with a common word.
Sure. Let's take the verb payback. Instead of just learning to pay back, which is very dry,
right,
you should learn the whole sentence, I'll pay you back tomorrow.
Okay. That's so much more useful, actually, because then I know how to use it, who to say it to.
Exactly. It gives you a situation, a little story. It might even create a little emotion or a memory. And that's what makes vocabulary stick. You've learned how it lives in the real world.
Okay, so context is king. That's step one. What's next?
Well, now that you've learned it in a sentence, you have to actually use it. So point 2 is use new words in your daily speaking.
This is the scary part, I think.
Haha.
It can be. It feels so awkward the first time you try to use a new word. It doesn't sound natural because you're thinking so hard about it.
That's completely normal.
But
But you have to push through that feeling. Repetition is the best tool we have. There's a simple saying for this. Use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it. I like that.
You have to try and put that new phrase into your own sentences. Talk about your day. Write it in a journal. The more you use it, the stronger that connection in your brain becomes until it's automatic.
Okay, so practice using it. Now, point 3. I have a feeling this is where my old cramming method really went wrong.
You are absolutely right. Point 3 is revise words again and again, but using spacing. Spaced repetition.
Spacing them out.
Oh.
So not all at once the night before.
The exact opposite of that. Our brains are designed to forget things. It's called the forgetting curve. As soon as you learn something new, you immediately start forgetting it.
So your brain is trying to delete the information.
It is, unless you tell it that the information is important. And the way you do that is by reviewing it at the right time. The science on this is very clear.
Right.
You should review a new word or sentence within the first 24 hours.
Right. The next day.
then again a few days later, maybe 3 days, and then again a week later. Each time you review it after a little break, you make the memory stronger and stronger. You're moving it into long-term storage.
Wow. Okay, so if I learn I'll pay you back tomorrow today, I should look at it again tomorrow, then maybe on Friday, and then next week.
That's it. That's spaced repetition. It works with your brain, not against it.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we find these new words and phrases to begin with?
That brings us to point 4. Listen to English daily. Exposure is the first step. You have to surround yourself with the language.
So like watching videos or listening to podcasts.
Exactly. Movies, stories, whatever you enjoy. And one more thing on this. When you hear a new word and you look it up, the next step is to watch or listen to that same thing again.
Oh, watch it a second time. Why is that?
Because the second time you hear it, your brain will instantly recognize that word you just learned. You'll understand it in the story. It builds so much confidence and really helps you move from just knowing the definition to, understanding the word.
I love that idea. It's a good excuse to watch my favorite movie again and again.
It is. And finally, point 5 brings it all together. You need to write and speak the word on the same day.
Okay, writing it down. Does it matter if I type it or write it by hand?
That's a great question. It is much, much better to write it by hand in a notebook.
Really? Why?
Basically, when you type, it's a very automatic action for your fingers. But when you write by hand, you have to form each letter, the physical movement of your hand. We call it kinesthetic memory. It creates a much stronger memory link in your brain.
So my muscle memory is helping my brain memory.
Precisely. Use your best handwriting, maybe a colored pen. Take your time. And as you write the sentence down, say it out loud at the same time. You're using your eyes, your hand, and your voice. It's a very powerful combination.
So just to recap the 5 points, learn in phrases, use them daily, revise with spacing, listen to English, and then write and speak it. That actually sounds like a system that works.
It's a complete system. It's how we learn naturally.
Okay, can we do a little mini practice just to see how it feels?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
A very common and useful phrase, especially for things in the kitchen, is gone off. It means something is bad or spoiled.
Gone off. Okay, I think I've heard that.
So, following our system, you need a sentence. For example, I need to throw away the milk. I think it has gone off.
Okay, the milk has gone off. Got it. So now I should write that down and say it. And then I should try to use it myself.
Yes.
Let me see. If I'm looking at some fruit in a bowl, I could say, these bananas smell funny. They might have gone off. Ha ha.
Perfect. That is exactly it. You've put it in a new context. Now you just need to remember to look at that phrase again tomorrow. And we encourage everyone listening, try to use that phrase today, right after this. It's that immediate use that makes all the difference.
That was really helpful. But I have one more question, a worry, I guess.
Yeah.
If I only learn 2 or 3 words a day, but I need 7,000, isn't that going to take forever?
That is a very fair question, but here's the answer. Consistency is so much more powerful than volume. If you try to learn 100 words today, you'll forget 95 of them. That's a waste of your time.
Right. It's better to retain 2 than to forget 95.
Exactly. My biggest piece of advice is don't try to learn hundreds of words at once. 2 or 3 new expressions a day is more than enough. If you do that consistently, that's over 700 new active words in a year. You are building a strong foundation, brick by brick.
That sounds much less scary, much more manageable.
It is. And one more thing, a pro tip.
Mm-hmm.
As you get better, try to stop translating in your head.
Oh, I do that constantly. I hear something, translate it to my language, think of my answer, and translate it back to English. It's so slow.
It is. It's a huge barrier to fluency.
Right.
When you learn in full phrases, like we discussed, you start to connect the English phrase directly to the idea, not to the translated word. You begin to think in English.
That feels like the ultimate goal. This has been so helpful. It really feels like an effective and enjoyable system.
It's about working smart, not just hard. It's about using a system that matches how your brain actually works.
Well, thank you so much for walking us through all of that.
You're so welcome. Now go and practice. Pick one phrase and use it.
If you like this deep dive, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
And just one final thought. While we focused a lot today on your active vocabulary, remember that your passive vocabulary is also incredibly important. Those are the words that allow you to understand almost everything you read and hear. So keep listening, keep reading, and just watch as those passive words slowly, one by one, become active.
Until next time.